Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and as always, I'm here with my co-host, Julia. How are you doing today, Julia?
Hi, Jason. I'm doing great, thank you. Hello to all our listeners. I hope you're ready for another exciting episode filled with tips to improve your English skills.
Absolutely. And today, we're talking about something that's both practical and fun. Daily routines. Learning how to talk about your daily routine is a key skill when speaking English. It's a topic that comes up in everyday conversations, whether you're chatting with friends, introducing yourself, or even in interviews.
That's so true, Jason. And the best part is, it's easy to learn. Once you know a few key phrases and vocabulary words, you'll be able to talk about your day with confidence.
Exactly. So, in this episode, we'll explore some common phrases and expressions you can use to describe your daily routine. We'll share examples from our own routines and even give you some tips to practice at home.
Plus, we'll have a mini dialogue to show you how to put these phrases into action. So, grab a notebook or just sit back and listen. This is going to be a fun and useful lesson.
Let's get started. All right. Before we dive into the details, let's warm up by talking about our own daily routines. Julia, can you share what a typical day looks like for you?
Sure, Jason. My day usually starts around 7 a.m. I wake up, stretch a little, and then head to the kitchen to make some coffee. After that, I check my emails and plan my tasks for the day. What about you?
That sounds like a great start to the day. For me, I usually wake up at 6:30 a.m. The first thing I do is go for a short walk to get some fresh air. Then, I have breakfast and start preparing for work. Julia, do you follow the same routine every day? Or does it change sometimes?
Good question. My mornings are pretty consistent, but the afternoons can change depending on my work. On most days, I have meetings or work on projects. But sometimes I squeeze in a workout or catch up on some reading. What about your evenings, Jason? How do you wind down?
In the evenings, I like to relax. I usually cook dinner, watch a little TV, or listen to music. Then, I make a to-do list for the next day before heading to bed. How about you? Do you have a specific way to end your day?
Yes, I like to keep my evenings calm too. After dinner, I usually spend some time journaling or meditating. It helps me reflect on the day and unwind before sleeping.
That's great. And listeners, as you hear us talk, think about your own daily routine. What do you usually do in the morning, afternoon, and evening? This is a great way to get started with practicing English.
Exactly. And don't worry if your routine is simple. Even a few sentences are enough to start improving your speaking skills.
Now that we've shared a bit about our routines, let's focus on some common vocabulary and phrases you can use to talk about your daily activities. These are simple, but very useful in everyday conversations.
That's right, Jason. Let's start with phrases to describe activities at different times of the day. For example, in the morning you can say, I wake up at 7 a.m. I usually have coffee and breakfast. After that, I take a shower and get ready for work.
Great examples, Julia. For the afternoon, you can say things like, I usually have lunch around 1 p.m. I work on my tasks or attend meetings. Sometimes, I go for a quick walk to take a break.
And for the evening, here are some ideas. I cook dinner and eat with my family. I watch TV or read a book to relax. Before going to bed, I like to plan my next day.
Another important tip is using time expressions to make your routine clearer. For example, every morning in the evening, I usually. On weekends, I like to.
And don't forget action verbs like wake up, eat, go, work, relax, and sleep. These are essential for describing your activities.
Exactly. So, listeners, try to remember these phrases and verbs as we continue. They'll make it much easier to talk about your own routine.
And don't worry about making mistakes. Practicing is how you improve. Let's move on to a mini dialogue to see these phrases in action.
All right, Julia, let's do a quick dialogue to show how you can talk about daily routines. I'll start by asking you some questions. Ready?
Ready? Let's do it.
Okay. What time do you usually wake up?
I usually wake up around 7 a.m. How about you?
I wake up at 6:30 a.m. What's the first thing you do after waking up?
After waking up, I drink a glass of water and then make coffee. What about you?
I like to go for a short walk first, and then I have breakfast. So, Julia, what do you usually do in the afternoon?
In the afternoon, I usually work on my projects or attend meetings. If I have time, I go for a quick walk to take a break. What's your typical afternoon like?
My afternoons are mostly spent working, but I always take a coffee break around 3 p.m. to recharge. And how do you usually spend your evenings?
In the evenings, I like to relax. I cook dinner, watch a TV show, or read a book. Sometimes I journal before going to bed. What about you, Jason?
I do something similar. I cook dinner, listen to music, and plan my tasks for the next day before going to sleep. What time do you usually go to bed?
I go to bed around 10:30 p.m. And you?
Usually around 11 p.m. Thanks for sharing your routine, Julia. Listeners, we hope this dialogue helps you understand how to talk about your daily activities in a natural way.
Yes. Try to practice answering these questions yourself or with a partner. It's a great way to improve your fluency and confidence.
Now that you've learned some useful phrases and heard an example dialogue, let's talk about how you can practice talking about your daily routine on your own or with a partner. Julia, do you have any tips to share?
Of course. My first tip is to write down your daily routine. Start with just a few sentences, like, I wake up at 7 a.m. I have breakfast at 8 a.m. I go to work at 9 a.m. Writing helps you organize your thoughts and remember key phrases.
That's a great start. My tip is to practice speaking your routine out loud. You can do this in front of a mirror to work on your pronunciation and confidence. For example, say, every morning I go for a jog. In the afternoon, I study English. In the evening, I watch a movie.
Another idea is to record yourself talking about your routine. Use your phone or any recording app. Listen to the recording and check your pronunciation and fluency. This is a fantastic way to track your progress.
Yes, and if you have a friend or a language partner, ask them about their routine and share yours. It's a simple and fun conversation starter. You can ask questions like, what do you do in the morning? How do you spend your weekends?
And for solo practice, you can also imagine you're explaining your routine to someone new, like a classmate or a colleague. Pretend you're introducing yourself. It makes the practice feel more real.
Exactly. Remember, the key is consistency. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel to talk about your routine in English.
So, listeners, pick one of these tips and try it today. Whether it's writing, speaking, or recording, taking small steps will help you improve your English skills.
Now it's time for a quick interactive exercise. We'll guide you through a simple activity to practice talking about your daily routine. Are you ready, Julia?
I'm ready, Jason. Listeners, grab a pen and paper or just think about your answers as we go along. This will be a fun way to practice.
Okay, let's start. I'll ask a question, and you can pause the podcast to answer. Here's the first one. What time do you wake up in the morning? Take a moment to answer in a full sentence, like, I wake up at 7 a.m.
Great. Now here's the next question. What do you usually do after breakfast? Think about your morning routine and try to describe it in one or two sentences.
Here's another one for the afternoon. How do you usually spend your afternoons? For example, you could say, I work from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., and then I take a short break.
And now for the evening. What do you do to relax before going to bed? Answer with something like, I watch TV or read a book before sleeping.
Good job. Here's one last challenge. What's one thing you'd like to change or add to your daily routine? For example, you might say, I'd like to exercise more in the morning.
Excellent. If you answered these questions, congratulations. You've just practiced talking about your daily routine in English. Remember, the more you practice, the better you'll get.
And if you want extra practice, try answering these questions again tomorrow, or writing them down to build your vocabulary. Great work, everyone. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you enjoyed learning how to talk about your daily routine and found the tips and exercises helpful.
Yes. Remember, talking about your daily routine is one of the easiest and most practical ways to practice English. Start with simple sentences and build from there.
Don't forget to use the vocabulary and phrases we discussed today. And try out the interactive exercise again if you want more practice.
And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more fun and useful English learning content.
We'd also love to hear from you. Share your daily routine with us in the comments, or let us know if there are other topics you'd like us to cover.
Thanks for joining us today, and remember, practice makes perfect. Keep speaking, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone, and happy learning.